Hello, I'm Michael Kurland, CEO and co-founder of Branded Group, an award-winning facility maintenance and construction management company that services multi-site commercial properties such as retail, restaurants, healthcare facilities, and educational institutions. Welcome to the Be Better podcast. Each week, I interview thought leaders from a variety of industries who will share their stories and the lessons they learn as they strive to be better for their clients, partners, employees, and their community. Are you ready to be better?
So we were doing work orders across the country, our first year out in the industry, doing quite well. And we turned a profit, but inside I was feeling a little dead. And I wanted to give something back. And I decided to come up with how I could be better. And so I started working on being better to my employees, to my subcontractors, my community, and my clients. And I've added the fifth element, which is being better to myself this past year. So that's what this podcast is going to be all about, is how we can be better. It's not always just about turning a profit in business, but also how do you deal with some of the challenges that come along that aren't just money related. So thanks for joining us.
Well, the good news is you brought along a guru, an expert, who's going to teach us today in one session how to be better, right?
I'd like to think so. This is a man that helped me along my journey in its very infantile stages. He is my mentor. This is Bill Pegnato. He is the owner of Pegnato Roof Intelligence Network. And at a very young age of Branded Group, we met at a networking event up in, it wasn't Hollywood, it was somewhere in LA. I still remember the bar. It was an old crappy bar that had some tiles broken on the floor. They never invited us back.
That's where everybody learns to be better, at the bar here.
Yes, absolutely.
You feel like you're better after a few.
Yes. So we had a couple of cocktails, and Bill, you said to me, I'm going to take you under my wing. I'm an East Coast guy just like you, moved out to California, and I want to help you navigate this whole new ecosystem out here. So Bill, why don't welcome to the show, and why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do and why you do it?
Okay. So Pegnato Roof Intelligence Network is a platform where we connect national accounts in real estate, just like you, Michael. We do retailers, we do restaurants, and also shopping center developers. And we connect them with local roofers around the country. So they place work orders with us as well, and we find good local people to do the work. But then additionally, besides handling the transactions, we start analyzing the data that we get from this and help our clients make intelligent decisions. So that's sort of our business right now.
So that doesn't sound like the normal roofing company. It sounds like you've taken a roofing networking management company and made it better by analyzing the data. Is that something that you guys did on your own, came up with?
Yeah, we think we're pretty unique in the industry. As you know, I'm getting up there in age, so I've been doing this for about 40 years. And we sort of designed our business with what I saw in the industry as what it was lacking. So, and tried really to develop our products and services around that. And, like you, we're experiencing some real good success right now.
All right. Well, so you mentioned you've been around for 40 years, always in this industry, correct?
Yeah. So my dad was an electrician back in New Jersey. And so I grew up helping him in his entrepreneur electrical contracting business, wired houses. And then after I graduated from Rutgers University, I moved west and been doing businesses or entrepreneurs since right from the get-go. First business was a solar hot water heating contracting business. And then did that for about 10 years. The tax credits changed, so that business wasn't really viable much anymore. And about 86 got into roofing. And in analyzing the business, which is, I think, some things that I do and you do, is you're sort of looking for, what's the angle, what's different. And, although I was working for a large roofing contracting company and selling a lot of large roofs, I saw this opportunity for transactions, maintenance, and repair. Really kind of went to them and said, I think I can do something different for you guys. and they said, no, you're making too much money doing what you're doing. So I, went to my partner, my wife, Mariella, who's a MBA, and she was on the staff of Pacific Bell. She was on the CEO staff at Pacific Bell. So, we said, if no one's going to do this, it's a great idea. Let's do it ourselves. So, since then we've been, again, national accounts always. We started with Prism, as you know, professional retail store maintenance, and, where all the national accounts were, and sort of built our business. And, but it's all not, rosy. It's been ups and downs. So I don't know if that gives you what you're looking for there, Michael.
So yeah, no, this is fascinating to me because I, as my mentor, I haven't actually sat down and asked you your whole timeline history. So I guess I'm going to use the platform of this podcast to get into that. So when you guys left, you saw when you left the roofing company with you and Marielle and you started your own company, I guess you saw a hole in the marketplace and decided to infiltrate that. And so how did you, what year was that? 86, you said?
That was 92.
Okay.
And I remember because on December 31st, 1991, I was making six figures. And in January 1, 1992, I was making zero. So it's a motivator.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so how did you decide you wanted to be better and do that? Just because you noticed that there was an opportunity and you wanted to get out there and make this management company, you saw that hole in the marketplace?
Yeah, we saw the hole in the marketplace, but we also learned what we didn't want to do. The company that I was working for, which has since gone out of business, they really didn't treat people well. Mary Ellis, she was working for a phone company. I won't mention the name, but they didn't value her as a woman. We had a baby, and her boss made her stay till 9 o'clock at night at every whim. So, part of this motivation to do something, we saw a hole. We also wanted to, work in a better environment, create our own environment. So that was really also a motivating factor for what we're doing. So that's why I'm impressed with your Be Better, because, that was sort of our kick from the beginning, but probably have not done as much as I'm seeing you do, and I'm learning, and we're starting to. So,
well, thank you. And so how were you being better, and how are you being better now in your current role?
So, and you said personal as well, because hopefully it's just not about business, but personal. So
absolutely.
So, for me, I figure about what I want to do in life, and I want to be the best that I can possibly be at the things that I value most. So, and it's not just making money and, and business, for me, family is important. My health is critical. I still play tennis 3 days a week. I really am challenged with my business as well to continually improve. I want to have financial security, and, I also want to have joyful living. And, part of that is, and again, which I'm listening to you and learning from you and watching the things that you're doing is giving back. Because boy, does that feel good. We have a real issue in Los Angeles, specifically Venice, with homeless. So we have now starting to participate with a group called SPY, which is Safe Place for Youth. So once a month, my whole team goes over there and we serve lunch. I just help them with some electrical problems that they had, because again, my dad, I have electrical background. So I'm starting to participate, and boy, does that feel good. So those are the, again, trying to be the best that I can be at the things that I value most.
And how long have you been in this with SPY? How long have you been working or volunteering with SPY?
About a year. Okay. And again, motivated by Branded Group.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Maybe I'm your mentor, but you're my mentor, young man.
I appreciate that. Yeah. For all of you that don't know, we have an association with Habitat for Humanity of Orange County. We donate a lot of time. We built over 12 houses in the last 6 years, helped build over 12 houses, not solely built the houses. And we've just started working with Second Harvest Food Pantry and Orange Coast Keepers. So we definitely make it a priority. And I started doing that because I just had this hole in my soul. I mean, we were turning a profit in 2014. We turned a profit first year, but I was like, what am I leaving on this planet? What kind of legacy am I leaving? I can fill a bank account, great, but I really want to have people remember me for more than just whatever whatever my trust fund was for whatever children I may have. So, and I can tell you, it's one of the most rewarding things is giving back, and I make sure that I do it personally, not just on Thanksgiving and Christmas, which I do like to also give time at those points, but throughout the year, we do school drives, we do back to school drives, we do the Christmas gifts, the Thanksgiving food drives for the less fortunate families. So I'm glad to hear that you guys started with SPY.
So, also it's, and we mentioned earlier in our discussions about the power of and. So there's some ulterior motive for me with SPY, not just, again, me feeling good and helping out is, I have my team come over there and, we serve food together and it's a great team building experience. And, these kids that work for me are motivated to work for me or work for us. That's not me, but because they feel like we're an organization that is doing good or being better. And these millennials nowadays, they value this, they value money, but they value this right up there, as being something, working for some place that's significant. So,
and that's a good point that you bring up. The millennials, there's studies out there, and I don't have the exact percentages off the top of my head, but millennials are more wanting to stay with the company that they're with because they feel like that company is giving something back. It's not just about the money. So what percentage of your workforce is millennials?
Other than me and Mariella, I think we have one guy that's a little bit, just about 95%, 90%. Yeah.
And so working with them, us too, we probably have, and I'm just on the cusp of not being a millennial. I'm like a Gen Z or X or whatever that they call those. But most of my workforce is also, I'd say, 85% millennials, and they really do value the give back. I could give them a raise, or I could give them an opportunity to go volunteer. And, everyone's going to want the raise, but 75% of them are going to feel just as good about getting that volunteer opportunity. Yeah. So it's something that we definitely are, keeping as a big focus for Branded Group. So I'm glad that we got to dive into some of that stuff. I wanted to ask you a few more questions. I wanted to know, what are you curious about right now? I know you brought this book here about the guy who founded Salesforce. Is that something that you're really diving into?
Yeah, I think the world is changing. Especially with what's happening in the political arena. I think as business people, we have more of an opportunity and more of a requirement to, really help society in a significant way. And I'm watching people like you, but also this guy Binoff from Salesforce. This book that I brought today is a lot of the things that he's doing. He's working with the homeless as well in San Francisco. But he has issues, and his company has issues with selling his products to companies or institutions that are not doing good, because his own people complain. Why are we selling? If this is the values that we espouse, and he goes through his values, and I have mine as with our company as well. And if you're doing things, this is what you say your values are, and you're doing things that are against those, that's a conflict, and it's not always about profit. So
great. Yeah. And have you read Mackey's book on conscious capitalism? I think we've talked about it earlier. You haven't gotten into that one yet.
Not yet. No.
That's a great one too. It's the guy who founded Whole Foods, and they start talking about how it's not just about the profit, but giving back. And that's kind of where I got my jump start of all of our values and give back initiatives, was going through that book. So what motivates you to be better?
I said this is a journey that I'm on, and I think if you're not continuing to grow, that you're going the other way. I think growing as a person is one of the things that I value. And I said, I want to be the best at things that I value the most. And, learning and growing is, until I'm, under the ground, I'm going to continue to, be motivated and move forward. My personal values are balance, and you know me, I'm a family guy, and, it's important. And my tennis and business, it makes me feel good that I'm, not just, focused on one thing. And also what I've learned, in business and in life is patience. It ain't going to happen tomorrow. If you've got an idea and, you've got to be patient and, perseverance, you got to stick at it. You and I have both been through some ups and downs, in our business. And, it's just, I feel like if you don't quit, you can't lose. So, and then lastly is discipline, because, I think again, earlier discussion is, this is all well and good, but, people have to hit the numbers, that's part of our values. And one of our values is making sure that we, secure the future. That's one of the Pegnato values. And, part of that is, we have to keep our exceptions down, good customer service. We have to bill. So it's not just about, socially being better. It's also securing the future by doing a good job and, being profitable.
Well, yeah, if you don't have your company to help the people that work there, then how can you do any of the things that we're talking about doing right now? And it's funny, you talked about yours is securing the future. Ours is building better humanitarians for the world. That's what we try to do at Branded Group, and that's our motto for our value for our employees. And you talked about discipline. That's one thing I wanted to touch on. I've always noticed in all of our talks that you are always focused on, whenever we meet for lunch and catch up on life and business, we'll catch up on life, but you always have one main topic of business that you want to impart on me. And I've always appreciated that about you. You always are driven still. As you said, doing this for 40 years, I've only been doing my own company for 6 years. And there's days where I'm always driven, but, I hope in another 34 years, I'll still be as driven as you are. So I appreciate that about you.
Great. Thanks.
Yes. So one thing we've talked about business, you've talked about balance. I think that's a good segue for how are you being better to yourself? How many hours would you say you spend in the office versus outside of the office, not dealing with work stuff, playing tennis and spending some time on yourself? Because I think that's a thing that a lot of people in our situations don't find time for. So how are you doing better with that?
Being an owner is you're really never off, and so, but it's like I pick my spots, how to explain this, but, so, I'll play tennis on a Tuesday morning and a Thursday morning, but, Saturday morning I'll get up and go over my accounts receivable, so it's not 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, it's whatever the business needs, but I have my own needs as well. And I make time for those. So I'm not so sure if I'm answering your question, but it really is balance and a balance of time. And, I'm really lucky that I have my partner who's my wife. And so we will go, we just had a trip to Florida last week, calling on accounts, but then we go out to dinner when we're there, of our own time together. So anyway, I'm probably not answering your question. I can't specifically say how much time, but I really make sure that, I put time in for work and for my family, my kids and grandkids.
I think it's just everyone's journey is different, and you're answering the question just fine. That I can totally agree with where you're coming from, because you're never off as an owner, especially in today's technology age where everything comes to your phone. You just got to be able to put your phone down and make that time for yourself, whether it's playing tennis or having a nice dinner with your wife, which also fascinates me that you are able to travel with the country with your wife, and you guys are the most beautiful couple. I hope that when I'm your age, me and my soon-to-be bride will be as happy as you
Yeah,
guys
congratulations.
are. Oh,
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you,
yeah,
thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah, we had when we first met, we both traveled the country together, and it worked well in business for about a year, but then it was time for a separation for us. So I applaud you for 40 years of working together with your significant other. So let's talk about a little bit on how you're being better professionally. How are you doing that and bringing that into your company?
A couple of ways. Number one is I think books are really critical. And I think when you and I sit down and talk, we always talk about what are you reading, what are you working on, so on. And that's why even today, I know this was a podcast, but I brought a book that we're working on. So, I learn a lot from other people. Not learn. I mean, yeah, you don't why reinvent the wheel. If someone's done this before, someone's ran through these problems before, and there's so much to be learned from books, I think. And I also don't like books on a computer or books on I like the paper and
like turn the page.
Right. And then we also we participate, and you do with me in RIFMA and Prism, but also ICSC. We are lucky enough right now, Mariel and I are the co-chairs for the ICSC Sustainability Conference coming up in Nashville next month. So,
Nashville.
So continue to push myself professionally, participating in, the trade organizations, and again, learning about business through other people.
Great. You brought up books, and that sparked me to think of, we actually started a book club at Branded Group, and we have a quarterly book club where I will pick a book, or one of the executives will pick a book, and we open it up to the entire team, and if they want to read it with us, and then we have a lunch and learn and talk about what we found. So currently the book we're doing is Atomic Habits, which is, I wish I brought a copy for you to take a look at. It's a great one. It's got me getting up at 6 a.m. every morning, Monday through Friday so far.
So we have, interestingly enough, we have a book club, but it's with the leadership team.
Okay.
So, the one we are reading right now, and I don't have in front of me the name, but I can tell you what it's about. It's about OKRs, and those are how we measure how we're doing. I talked about the guys in the team in the call center and really keeping exceptions down, so we manage exceptions. But OKRs go across it. So I have my own OKRs. How many clients do I see a month? I have a goal. And, that's sort of my shtick is like you, we're out there in front. But each of us have OKRs, and that's the book we're reading, and we're implementing those things in our business. So
that's great.
Yeah.
And do you guys meet and talk about it at the end?
Yeah, we meet every 2 weeks as a leadership team and talk about different chapters in the book and then how we're implementing the OKRs. This was really Andy Grove with Intel. Was huge on this, and that's sort of where it came from, and how he managed again, able to grow his business, through the specific measurements. So there was a guy who was also feeling and good things, but discipline. And if you couldn't do it, it wasn't that you were a bad person; you just probably couldn't work in this organization. So. That's how we drive it as well. It's like, we try and be good, but you really, in order for us to secure the future, which is again, only one of our values, if we can't secure the future, you're going to hurt everybody here. So.
Can I interject and ask a question here?
Sure.
I'm fascinated listening to the two of you. It seems like somewhere along the way, the light bulb went on and you made a commitment to do something different than just be driven for success. A balanced approach, as you talked about, to be better personally and professionally and maybe even socially. Is it hard?
I don't find it hard. I think it's just, if you're not, I always say if you're not evolving, then you're stagnant. And if you're stagnant in business or in life, things are going to pass you by. Your business will become outgrown. You know, in life with relationships and people, you will just be passed by and get left in the dust. So for me, I don't know if it's just a fear of not being relevant and wanting to keep up with everything that's happening and be relevant and be connected with the people and the business around me. I don't know how you feel.
Well,
about
I actually think, is it hard? I actually think it's easier.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, you're not single-minded focused on just business. And if you have a bad day, you know, all of a sudden someone goes BK and you lose, you know, $25,000. It's not,
happens.
I know that was the number for me too. It's not the end of the world because, you know, I'm going to go home and, you know, call my grandson and, you know, see how he's doing on his college search. And, you know, so again, that balance, answer your question in one word, it's easier.
Yes.
So why is it take so many so long to get to this revelation? Did you, it sounds like you had some of this, Bill, when you started your business. You didn't like the way they treated people in other organizations, and you thought maybe we can do something better. But Michael talked about, at first it was just making money, and then there was this hole there. Is this all there is to life? Talk about that. It's because you seem to reflect what I hear often. It's a better way to live. It's easier once you do it. But for some reason, we put it off. It takes a while to get to that revelation. Why?
I can tell you from my point of view, the last company I worked for was very similar to how you described your wife's company. And it was work hard, make me money, hit your numbers. And they would definitely always line their pockets first. And then they would, you know, they would say, come, you know, we'll take care of you, but they never always took care. They took care of us. They gave us everything they always promised us, but it was lot of hours. I'd come home and I'd have stress I got to hit my numbers and I never could disconnect. I was always trying to find that next sale. And so when I got out to California, I wanted to be better. I wanted a life. I had just gotten divorced. I wanted to start over. I wanted to find love again. I wanted to also, on top of that, build a business from the ground up. So it was just motivation.
You know, I've been around and worked with different people and how they approach things. And, you know, some people single-minded, but I can tell they're not happy. I really think I think when people take a step back and become thoughtful about who they are and what they're doing, but sometimes entrepreneurs are running so fast, and, you know, trying to be great, you know, trying to be a billionaire, that they don't take a step back and think about what's really, really important. And so, you know, some people just, you know, run as fast as they possibly can. And, you know, they finally figure out at the end what they missed. And I'm lucky. And I think with Michael as well, I think we're both lucky that we've been thoughtful early enough that, you know, we've had good, joyful living.
Well, I'll just interject since we're all going to get to know each other over this journey here. My father was an executive with Chrysler Corporation in the Madman era. And the assumption was we as a family had to sacrifice for his success. We moved. He worked long hours. We didn't play baseball together. We didn't, you know, he was a loving and giving father, but business came first. Business was everything. And he was the first one in and the last one to leave, and worked Saturdays and flew all over the country. And there was that determination to get somewhere because he'd grown up very poor. And that seemed to be the way that you got there. You just worked harder than the other guy, and you sacrificed along the way those special times for yourself because you were doing something bigger. Now we seem to have hit a wall and come backwards a little bit, where we're trying to find more of a balance. And it seems to be what you guys are talking about here.
Oh, absolutely. I can relate to that. My father was with Kentucky Fried Chicken and flying all over the country, VP of operations. And we saw him every other Saturday and Sunday. That was it. And then he was on the road. So I think you're right. I think people got tired of that, of growing up and watching that and seeing absentee fathers and mothers because they were off at work and being raised by one parent. Or I was lucky enough to have my grandfather help raise me, but I don't want that same life. I don't want my kids to grow up only seeing me on the weekends thinking I'm a stranger. That was part of my motivation as well, to have balance.
So give us some tips. We got a couple minutes left. Give us some steps. We're not going to get there in one day or one session here. Where do you start? The journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. What step should they take today?
So, I would recommend someone read Stephen Covey, because, he's got these 7 habits of, I think it's highly successful people,
right,
that and it, number 1 is to, be proactive, control what you can control. Don't worry about what you can't. I don't know if I'm going to remember all these, but he also says, begin with the end in mind. If you don't know where you're going, you ain't never going to get there. Right. So, and I won't go through all of his things, but, those are the things I, read this back in the 80s, and that really got me on the right path, I think, in terms of business. Cause, he also says, think win-win, meaning it's got to be good for both of us. If it's win-lose, someone's going to, it ain't going to work,
Correct.
So, or it's win-win or no deal. Like, you can walk away. So, and I think you mentioned earlier when we were discussing, you said, well, the old way was the I win, you lose kind of. And
right.
I don't think that's, that's not, I think it's win-win. So anyway, that's where I would go. And again, first and foremost, be thoughtful and begin with the end in mind. Where am I going?
I think also you said it earlier, single-minded. Don't be so single-minded. Don't be so focused. Where do you want to be? How do you want to get there? And not just money. Money will be there. If you do what you love, like my mother always said, the money will follow. So, well, I have one last question that I would like to ask you, Bill. And it's a kind of a 2-part question here. What do you consider yourself to be an expert at? And what is your advice on how to be better at your expertise? It can be anything.
Okay.
He's going to say tennis.
Yeah. So, Michael, what I think I do really, really well is strategy. It's really analyzing the marketplace and the business, and really trying to figure out, where the holes are, what we can do differently. I'm not a me too kind of person. It's, people say, who's your competition? I go, I don't really think I have any competition. They don't do what I do. It's different. You even said that earlier. You said your business sounds different than, your typical roofing
Absolutely.
Contractor and company. I don't go to the national roofing conferences. Alex has been going for me, and Alex, my right-hand daughter. But I go to our clients' conferences. So I want to learn what they need. So I think strategy is my strength, and how I would recommend somebody else is, really, I guess, think about your industry, think about what's wrong, and, where's the need that you might be able to fill that's different. So,
well, great. I think that those are great tips for our audience, and I too agree with you. I thought that I found a hole in our industry, and that's the whole reason why I moved to California and the sunshine. So I just want to thank you for coming on, Bill. It's been a pleasure talking with you today. This has been all my honor to have some time and really get some deeper knowledge on my mentor. So thank you for coming out. Appreciate it.
You're quite welcome. Thanks, Michael.
All right.
And how does everybody reach you guys if they want to learn how to be better? You open to giving a little free advice along the way?
I'm always open to giving free advice. You can reach us at our website. It's www.branded-group.com, and I will let Bill tell his.
Yeah, sure. Well, my personal email is Pegnato. That's Bill Pegnato. Pegnato@pegnato.com.
And let's spell Pegnato for those that aren't Italian.
Sure. It's Pegnato. And more than happy for. Actually, I enjoy helping people like Michael.
That is true.
Thank you for tuning in. I hope that today's episode inspired you to become a purpose-driven leader in your career or your community. There is no doubt that when we lead with purpose, we can change lives. If you enjoyed today's show, I'd be grateful if you would take a moment to rate us on your preferred listening platform. To learn more about Branded Group's Be Better experience and how we provide industry-leading, on-demand facility maintenance, construction management, and special project implementation, visit us at www.branded-group.com. Be sure to follow us on social media, and you can also reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. Until next time, be better.